AuthoREXperience conversation, and we look forward to learning from your insights. We are going live in a few minutes now. We are
It's
live
okay.
now.
Please tell me you
Yeah.
can.
So we are live on Facebook. Namaste and Sat Sri Akal, Mr. G.B.S. Sidhu, and welcome to the first AuthoREXperience conversation and the Rex Karmavir Global Author Fellowship. It is a pleasure having you with us. And from author to author, I would like you to show your books to me and to the audience. These are my books, part of the Karmakari series, and I see that you are writing a lot of books which are about talking about what is happening in politics and in civil society, based on certain exigencies which have happened. So welcome to the AuthoREXperience conversation, Mr. G.B.S. Sidhu, and pleasure having you with us. So
Thanks a
yes,
lot, Jerry. Thanks a lot. It's my
thanks a
pleasure
lot
to be here.
for showing me your book, Sikkim Dawn of Democracy and the Khalistani Conspiracy, is what we are going to discuss more about today, because this is your new book. And for all the people who are watching, the audience, welcome to the AuthoREXperience conversation. And if you wish to buy any of these books, please feel free to visit Amazon and pick up the books. Khalistani Conspiracy is published by HarperCollins and is available on Amazon and the leading bookstores of India. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well,
So, sir, when I started writing around a decade ago, in 2010 is when I began writing books. And I write books of very ordinary people, people who are slum dwellers, sex workers, domestic house help. But these are ordinary people, sir, who have done extraordinary work,
mhm.
and there's an old African proverb that only when the lion can tell her or his story, the lion or the lioness can tell her or his story, only then will the historians start telling their story and not just the story of the hunters. And that is exactly what inspired me to kind of get into this, about writing books about real heroes, ordinary people who are doing
Mhm.
extraordinary things, because nobody is curating or collating or kind of compiling their stories, because these are people who are ignored. They were not even there in the newspapers at that time. And from the time we started recognizing these unsung heroes and ordinary heroes now, several newspapers, magazines have also started carrying columns on ordinary heroes, especially during COVID. You must have seen almost
Mhm.
everybody is doing COVID heroes. But that was the inspiration for me, that, let us celebrate the unsung heroes, the real heroes, as I call them, because the real heroes are not just the movie stars or the people in cricket, because those are the two religions which we follow in India. The real heroes are out there in the armed forces, in our police forces, people who are putting their lives at stake to keep us secure. And you have worked with the RNAW, which a lot of people call as raw, but and Gagan, your son, was telling me about how you also don't like to call it raw, just like me. It's actually RNAW, the Research and Analysis Wing.
Mhm.
So do you want
Yes.
to tell us a little about, do you want to tell us a little and begin by telling us a little about your life journey and your story, what inspired you to kind of, get into the RNAW, etc.?
So, thank you very much. I'm glad that you are doing a yeoman's work. Not many people have the courage to take up such causes, and I hope and I wish that you will succeed in your venture. So, about myself, actually, I did my master's in history from Mahindra College, Patiala in
Right,
1962. Then joined as a lecturer of history in Ripudaman Government, Ripudaman College, Naba, a town near Patiala,
right,
where I served for 2 years before joining IPS in
right,
July 1964. During
right,
my college days, I used to play hockey,
right,
represented Punjab University, the Inter-University Championship. Then at that time, two uh, teams used to play from Punjab at the national hockey level, and I represented Pepsu, which participated in the national hockey championships at Bombay in 58 and at Calcutta in 60.
right,
So thereafter, I passed out as an IPS probationer in December 65 as the best all-round probationer of my batch in December at Mount Abu.
right,
Then I joined my cadre Uttar Pradesh, where I served for 7 years, including 2 years in ASP Kanpur, 1 year as additional SP Agra, and 2 years as SP Barabanki. From there, I came to RNAW. I joined in February 1972. To my surprise, within 18 months of joining, that also an establishment, other related work, I was specially chosen by the founder secretary, the legendary R.N. Kaur, for a very important and one of the two landmark operations which RNAW conducted within the first 6 months of 6 years of its formation. The first was the significant role played by RNW in the liberation of Bangladesh, creation of Mukti Bahini, then other things also. The second was the merger of Sikkim with India in May 1975. So I was told that I have been selected for that important a job. I was surprised. So then I started maintaining a diary after reaching Sikkim in March 73. The main reason was that out of 566 states which ultimately were to merge with India, only Sikkim was given an exception in spite of Sardar Patel's advice to Nehru that you also take Sikkim along. But Nehru wanted to give a special status. As a result of that, Sikkim was given a protectorate status through a treaty of December 1950. But very soon, the Maharaja, and later on he was called Chogyal, he started dreaming of total independence from India, which India could not afford because of its strategic location of Sikkim. If you look at the map, the Chumbi Valley, the tip and the Bangladesh tip top, there is only very 40-50 miles. And if it had not, we have not merged, Chinese would have marched right up to Jamperi Ridge and cut off the chicken's neck and all of our eastern states. So then I revived the pro-democratic forces and raised their profile. They contested elections, received 31 seats out of 32 assembly seats, got the resolutions passed, first the associate status, and then in May 1975, full merger. As a result of that, Sikkim became 22nd state of India through 36th amendment of the Indian Constitution. From there, I was asked to go to Ottawa as first secretary in the High Commission of India, Ottawa, where I joined in September 76 and stayed there for 3 years till September 79. So my story of the present book starts from there, but my story of Sikkim's merger, as I told you, is written in this book, Sikkim Dawn of Democracy,
Right.
published by Penguin Random House in 2018.
Right.
So this story in a book starts from my posting in Canada. And during that 3 years period I stayed there, I traveled widely, but came to know only that there were, at that time, there were two people who used to talk about Khalistan in Canada till the end of 79, almost 80. One was this Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, the so-called Consul General of Khalistan representing Jagjit Singh Chauhan's setup. And other was Professor Uday Singh of Sudbury, who was a professor of mathematics in Laurentian University near Toronto. This Uday Singh was a very religious man, well respected. Somehow he convinced himself that there should be a Khalistan for the Sikhs, but he did not propagate. He used to talk to those people who were there at that time. But Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, everybody knew that he was in the pay of ISI of Pakistan. And Jagjit Singh Chauhan used to be supported by some ISI and then some senators, Republican senators of the US. So much so that his, you can say, following or respect for Sodhi can be judged from the fact that in March 79, I attended a Sikh conference in Toronto. I was invited to speak. While I just started speaking, Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, who was sitting in the audience, stood up and said, Mr. Singh is an agent of Morarji Desai's Hindu government. He should not mislead us, but now he should tell why Sikhs are being treated badly in India, in Punjab. So 4 Sikh young men who were sitting next to him picked up from his seat and escorted him outside the thing.
Okay.
And before that, I'll just give you one. In sometime within 2-3 months of that, I received a letter from my headquarters that we are not interested in Gurdwara politics. You should not send us the reports.
Right.
You better concentrate on the work. So that shows that till 79 and there was no Khalistan movement as such. Similarly in Punjab also, Mr. Deshmukh, B.G. Deshmukh, Additional Secretary Home, He has written that he did not find any movement, although Congress was hobnobbing with Bhindranwale at that time. So
Right.
that was the beginning of that. And I have written that book, my Khalistan GB, this book, in the form of an intelligence operation
Right.
to make it more interesting for the younger generation.
Right.
And I have called that operation as Bhindranwale Khalistan operation,
Right.
which has
Right.
two phases,
Right.
Operation 1 and Operation 2. Operation 1 started with in 1978 early and ended with the January 1980 election in which Mrs. Gandhi returned to power.
Right.
So then I'll proceed further. I can also describe that to why I have called this thing and who were the persons involved in running this operation from One Akbar Road, Prime Minister's residential office. That's why I call these people as One Akbar Road group. There was slight difference in the plan and there was slight difference in how they will execute that plan because all operations has an objective
Right.
and all operations have a plan of operation, how to
Right.
achieve that objective. So Operation 1, which lasted from early 78 to 80 January, was to destabilize the Akali Dal and Janta Party alliance government.
Right.
70, Jail Singh was the chief minister earlier, and they had put a lot of people during emergency in jail, but it was now Badal's government to put some of them in jail. So Wiley Jail Singh was a very shrewd politician. He advised Sanjay Gandhi that we can destabilize the Akali Dal and Janta Alliance government if we raise or cultivate a Sant, very strong, powerful Sant. So as a result of that, Kamal Nath has told, I think Kuldeep Nair, he has written in his book,
Mhm.
Beyond the Lines autobiography. And Kuldeep Nair asked Kamal Nath about this, and he said, look here, we interviewed two sons, and out of them, one was a Khadku, very loud voice, convincing. So that was Bhindranwale.
Right.
He's
Right.
also said, Kamal Nath, that we used to pay him at regular interval.
Right. Right.
And then, very interestingly, Kamalnath told that we were totally surprised when he became a terrorist or something. But I have written that actually this is what they wanted. Because Bhindranwale Khalistan means the use of Bhindranwale to create some sort of a mind terror in the minds of the Hindu by
Right.
encouraging extremism activities directed at the Hindus. And Khalistan's second element was Bhindranwale never wanted Khalistan. He's never said anything. People used to ask him, he would say, I never want, but if Mrs. Gandhi put it in my lap, I will not say no. So how to link Bhindranwale with Khalistan? Zail Singh raised this Dal Khalsa. They started demanding Khalistan and they started equally supporting Bhindranwale. So people thought that Bhindranwale and Dal Khalsa are the same people. So, but during this period, this operation could not achieve the result. The government continued, they could not destabilize it. But Bhindranwale openly confessed for the Congress candidates in the 80 elections. But these people, the Akbar Road group, Mrs. Gandhi, then Sanjay Gandhi, Zail Singh, and Kamal Nath. This is Operation One people.
Right.
So they
Absolutely.
thought that Bhindranwale is showing promise.
Right.
Let us use him for the next phase, which
Right.
Sanjay Gandhi told Mrs. Gandhi after returning that let us not face a similar situation which we faced after 1977 elections.
Right.
Because 1971 elections, Congress had won two-third majority on Garibi Hatao plank.
Right.
After that, Bangladesh was liberated. After that, Sikkim was merged. But she had to implement emergency. So now
Right.
they wanted to ensure that such a thing never happens. So that was the time when Operation 2 started. And the
Right.
persons, Sanjay died in June 1980. Then he was replaced by Rajiv Gandhi, Arun Nehru, then Fotedar, and later on Arun Singh joined, and Kamal Nath continued to be there. So then what sort of action they took in this thing?
Right.
First was there was no section or division in RNW till December 80 to deal with extremism or Khalistan. Then first time it was opened, this B. Raman has written in his book, and I also came to know about it.
Right.
In January 81, Mr. Santok told me that Sidhu, you sent proposals, 7 proposals for new stations, and write proposal in such a way that MEA, who used to sanction all these posts, gets some sort of comes to the conclusion that there is an imminent danger of Khalistan picking up momentum within the coming years. So I sent those proposals. There were a huge pile up of proposals which I mean never sanctioned 10 years. I used to carry. I thought, let me make this proposal. They will not be sanctioned because there
Right.
is no dime movement there, Khalistan. So, but I was surprised that the sanction came within a couple of months. All this, I was very happy that I have achieved a lot, wonders which other seniors could not achieve. Then again in the middle of 1981, when we have shifted to the new building, CGO complex. Earlier, there were three DDs and secretary who used to sit in South Block. So I was handling very sensitive branch, looking after the foreign stations of RNW. Later on, I was given the liaison desk also, which was
Right.
liaison with foreign intelligence.
Right.
Middle of 1981, I was told that you brief officers of deputy directors and above rank about what is Khalistan, what type of information they should be looking for, what should they do, all these things. I was again, sir, I didn't know about it. I thought it's okay. Then, although the posts were sanctioned, didn't have the manpower to fill those posts because Morarji decided to reduce the strength of RNW and budget by one third.
Right.
It took time to fill these posts. But then, in view of that, nothing was coming. Mr. Santook again calls me in December 1981. Sidhu, we are learning disturbing news are coming from Canada, US. Why don't you go and meet your friends and relations and other thing and let us know what can be done to change? I went there, I think on 15th or 16th of December, 81, met our Gurdial Singh Dhillon was the High Commissioner. Then I went to Vancouver, talked to my people, San Francisco, Los Angeles. All of them said that things have changed considerably since you had left.
Right.
Left only, I left in 80, it's about 1.5 years or so. So there's a reason is that earlier Hindus and Sikhs used to come to Gurdwara. They used to be called as Jod Mela, social get together.
Right.
Because of certain activities of Congress government, Bhindranwale, there are considerable differences between Hindus and Sikhs.
Right.
So
Right.
please go and tell them that they should be controlling the Hindi or local vernacular media, and they should send some people from there to explain that this is nothing. We will control it. I made a one-page proposal. That's very important. And I came back on the first week, I think 26th of December. I still remember Los Angeles to Tokyo. I traveled on this Christmas Eve. There was hardly any person in the huge 747. So
Right.
I showed him that this is what they are saying. He said,
Right.
please make one page note and go to Mr. Kaur. Mr. Kaur had already joined as senior advisor to the Prime Minister. He was recalled in August 1981.
Right.
I went to Mr. Kaur, who used to at that time sit in the ground floor of Cabinet Secretary's office, Rashtrapati Bhavan's wing. So he said, now, Sidhu, you go to Sharda Prasad, who was a information advisor, principal information advisor to the Prime Minister. His room was just opposite Mrs. Gandhi on the left side in the corridor. I went and showed to him. He didn't say anything. He said, you can go back. I said he will do and advise the people and also that he will instruct the press not to do all these things. But I was totally surprised when things started going the other way around. Some very well-known and respected newspapers started coming with editorials. Okay, Sikhs are always wanted the return of the Khalsa Raj during Ranjit Singh time and everything. But things became clear in March 1982 when one of my friends, old friends, family friend, came to meet me from Patiala. He said, Bhai Sahab, what can I tell you? I have heard a very disturbing news. He said, what is this? He said, RSS friends from Patiala told me that as advised by Sanjay Gandhi, Mrs. Gandhi had taken a decision in January 1980 to win the next election on Bhindranwale Khalistan issue.
Right.
Then things started falling as to why I was doing this thing, why it was happening. So all thereafter, again I went to Canada and US in 1982 when Mrs. Gandhi went for state visit. Again I went in 1983 when she was to address the UN. But after the third visit, my friends started accusing me that you are not doing anything. We are telling you do this thing.
Right.
We think that you are using this information as intelligence and using against us. So I thought, okay, I will not be able to talk to them again. The way I returned, went to Mr. Saxena, that he said, well done, you go to now Bangkok as the station head, this and that. I said, nothing going, I'm not going anywhere. I think something terrible is going to happen before the end of the next year, and I want to be here. And I also told him that, look here, I cannot be doing anything which favors only one person, one party, or one family, but which has the potential of shaking the foundation of the country.
Right.
So he was aghast, although he was just like an elder brother. Then he said, please give me some time. We will find your replacement for two branches. And then that was the actually that was the end of that. When I thought, okay, this, and then I started associating. I told him to please post me to analysis division. That was the starting point of my brush with analysis divisions, etc.
Very nice. So it's been a very interesting journey, sir. And I'm so happy that I am getting to witness the journey in the first person, from your own mouth, because you've seen what is really happening behind the scenes. And that gives me this thought process that which I have always been talking about for the past 2 decades now, since the incident in Godhra and Gujarat, and the riots, what people called as a riots, but I had gone on record at that time by calling it a pogrom. And of course, it was a pogrom because it was a diktat given to the police not to interfere and not to do anything for 3 days, and let the people have their free run about what they wanted to do to the Muslims. Now, basically, if you see in this country, sir, currently with the current regime, the polarization has become huge. The divide between the Hindus, the Muslims, you will see it on the Facebook chatter, you will see it on WhatsApp groups. And then you have the Congress, which always paints BJP as a communal party. And I always say this, that BJP is communal, but Congress is not less communal, because Congress has been doing all this, playing all this politics to stay in power for a long time, and yet the public perception in India is that Congress is not communal. And I'm so happy that you're sharing this, because you can see a definitive role of the Indian National Congress and the Gandhi family in the promotion of the Khalistani movement, in the promotion of Bhindranwale, who later became a concern for them because he turned against them. Right. So I would love to know more about this from you. But before that, sir, I want to ask you, from an RNAW celebrated officer to an author who's telling the story like it is now. How has that journey been? Was there any fear when you decided to write about what happened in Sikkim, what happened in Bangladesh, and you spoke about how RNAW had a role in the formation of the Mukti Wahini and the liberation of Bangladesh? But telling the stories, do you feel there's any risk involved personally for you now at this stage?
Actually, by the time I retired from RNAW in April 1994,
Right,
I decided to write these two books,
right,
irrespective of the consequences,
right.
because of their significant importance from the national point of view. People
Absolutely.
must know as to what had happened, that
Right.
if I had not written these two books, nobody would have known as to what happened.
True, true.
In a
Very true.
sense, Sikkim operation changed the map of India.
Right,
But there was a wrong perception in Sikkim, especially amongst the ruling classes, Bhutias, that
right,
India annexed Sikkim.
right,
The truth is that after Nehru decided to give protectorate state, the policy of the government of India, especially MEA, was to strengthen the hands of the Maharaja or Chogyal and suppress the popular demand and popular part who wanted merger with India.
right,
As a result of that, these people got disheartened. And leaders like Tashi Shari, who was the founder of this movement, they were all suppressed. And Tashi Shari, in frustration, he seemed to have committed suicide through overdose of sleeping pill. This is what I have written. And I have quoted documents from the National Archives,
right,
EMEA documents. And I have also quoted some documents available in Nehru Memorial, Huxley's documents.
right,
So I have told the Sikkimese people, look here, there was a popular movement for merger of India. Don't forget that. What RNW did was to resurrect that movement, which we did it, and so that people outside Sikkim and India should come to know that we only revived the movement which was dead.
right,
Even Chogyal did not accept even the permanent association. From 67 onward, he started demanding full independence. India gave permanent association. Mrs. Gandhi got sick. Then only in 72, December or November, then Mrs. Gandhi called Mr. Aksar and Mr. Kaur, can you do something for Sikkim? Then Mr. Kaur said, please give me 15 days time, then we'll come back. Then he said, Mr. Banerjee was a very seasoned, you can say, spy who was head of our Calcutta office, who was in charge of Bangladesh operations, and he also supervised me also. He was good. So he came back and said, please, he said, we are ready. Tell us what to do and what do you want. So there was no limit. Then he said, look here, we want full merger, go ahead. So as a result of that, now Sikhs are gradually finding, when the merger took place, after merger, I got a letter from Mr. Kaur, which Sidhu tell us as to what should be the government of India's policy in Sikkim.
Right.
That 9-page document I have written, I still remember its contents. I have quoted here. Quoted means I said the socio-economic structure of Sikkim should not be disturbed.
Right.
Because I belong to Patiala, where
Right.
a lot of people, Rajas, Chote titles, Zimidar, they were nowhere. They lost their livelihood within 15, 20 years.
Right.
So I thought that class should still there, but do something to improve the lot of the lower class people. No income tax, all these things I have given there.
Right.
So here, this was a national interest. The second book which I have written there also had a significant importance from India's point of view. I wanted to share with the Indian public as to who were the person responsible for all this trouble, why did they do so. That, how I said so, there was a basis, how Operation 2 moved forward from that point of view. Because if once they have decided to use Bhindranwale, then they will create some sort of disturbance. They took two decisions at that time. How to pass this 4 years time. They started a dialogue with the Akali Dal people that we have
Right.
to listen. Mrs. Gandhi invited them, please come up. This type of facade was also created in order to allow Bhindranwale to operate. Because if the solution of the problem would have been found, Bhindranwale's logic of staying in Golden Temple would have vanished.
Right.
Secondly, Mrs. Gandhi also told Mr. Kaur to arrange for or start preparing for an SSF commando type operation of lifting Bhindranwale first from Chowk Mehta, then from Guru Nanak Niwas. Now, the major problem here was how to sustain this lawlessness in Punjab
Right.
and at the same time ensure that this lawlessness remained under control.
Right.
Let it boil over, and which could force the Congress party to intervene before the time.
Right.
It was only a few months before the elections, otherwise the impact would have been gone. There are 2, 3, 4 examples as to why they did not find a solution.
Right.
Then after Bhindranwale entered Guru Nanak Niwas in July 1982, 19th July, when his two associates, Amrit Singh and Thara Singh, were arrested, Bhindranwale thought, I will also be arrested. Let me move from Chowk Mehta to Guru Nanak Niwas. Within a month or so, Longowal sent a word to my father-in-law, Sardar Swaran Singh. He was the foreign minister, defense minister, well-known minister.
Right.
Long service, 23 years, uninterrupted cabinet. So they said, sir, the word they used was, the Congress party has brought a jinn in the Golden Temple Club. He was a jinn.
Jinn.
Jinn, booth, whatever it is.
Right.
He will take over our peaceful agitation and convert into some sort of extremist thing. Please help us to get him out of this thing.
Right.
My father-in-law, Sardar Swaran Singh, asked Mrs. Gandhi, this is what it is. She said, please go ahead. And he met most of the leaders at that time was in jail. Badal, Tora, and then even Balwant Singh, all the people. He met most of the people at mid of the night in his personal car, convinced them to stop this activity and let us finish. He also met Bhindranwale in his room. Fortunately, nobody would have believed it, but Kuldeep Nair in his book has written that incident, that while I was sitting with Bhindranwale's room and such respectable person like Swaran Singh walked into this thing, and I offered him a chair, the only chair on which he was sitting. So Swaran Singh refused because he thought in the presence of such sant, my place is like this. So he only wanted to massage the ego of Bhindranwale because he was to ask something from him. So I brought to the notice of Nair also later on, 2, 3 years ago before his death. We are member of the Bhai Veer Singh Southern Executive Committee. He said, I did not know that was the mission. I said, yes. After everybody left, he sat on the chair. Bhindranwale said, sir, yahan aa jaiye. So first thing he told Bhindranwale is that please don't be under any mistaken notion that you can create and hold your grounds with your so-called gun-toting motorcycle gangs. I am totally surprised as to why government of is not taking action against you. They can finish you in 2 days if they want.
Right.
So then my suggestion is that please tell me what I can do for you while I am trying to resolve this issue.
Right.
So he ultimately first said that Hindu and these people are discriminating. He said, for leave it to this Longowal and others, political, then you ask me what you want. He said, please release my 2 associate Bhindra, this Amrik Singh and Thara Singh, and I'll go back. It's such a small demand. Then meetings were held in Delhi at the subcommittee cabinet level, and it was 3rd of November 82, a decision was taken that this statement, which was shown to Akali Dal, will be read in the parliament next morning, and we will withdraw. It will be delivered to him on 4th of morning. All the people, Akali Dal people, went back, and next morning the call comes from either Balwant Singh or Badal that, sir, we are waiting for that thing. Then he checked up with Pranab Mukherjee. He was old colleague. He used to directly on phone. In my house, he came. He was staying there. He said, Pranab, what happened? He says, sir, parliament session. We will read it and then send it. After a couple of hours, Balwant Singh or Badal again called, sir, paper has been received. It is totally changed. It's very hard line. We can't withdraw it.
Right.
So then he again called Pranab. He says, Pranab, what happened? He said, but this is true, sir. But let us, please tell us what could be done. He said, I have done my maximum. Please leave me out. I am not going to do. Again, 23rd April 1983, when Atwal was killed, DIG was killed during daylight. And when Bhindranwale was in Guru Nanak Niwas, his body was lying for 2 hours. Police did not have the guts to go there. Darwara Singh, Chief Minister, told the center that Guru Nanak Niwas is not a part of Golden Temple complex. Let me send police and we'll arrest him. They did not allow him to resist because if he had been captured Bhindranwale at that time, elections were still 1.5 years ago. So what could be done? How to win the elections? This type of solution had to be closer to election.
Right.
And then to control that this level doesn't go, they appointed a 3-man think tank in which Krishna Swami Rao Sahib, Cabinet Secretary, and Chaturvedi, Home Secretary, P.C. Alexander, they were a member. They were some sort of a controlling a pressure cooker.
Right. Absolutely.
Boil over, it continues to simmer.
And the insight I'm getting from this is that that Congress actually set the precedent with all this dirty political games they play, especially during election time. Whether it's the operation which is being done in Punjab or against the Khalistan movement, or now what you see with the BJP doing, right? So you suddenly have surgical strikes only when the elections are to be held in the next month, right? So the BJP has learned well from the Congress, right? Because Congress has been doing this for many years and decades now, and the BJP now is doing the same thing that the Congress has done. But that said, sir, where you retired from the RNAW in 1994, just going by the timeline, and the book Sikkim Dawn of Democracy was published in 2018.
There is a reason actually.
Yes. What is the reason for such a huge?
That these books contain very, very sensitive information.
Right.
Although lots of intelligence people have written books, Raman and everybody,
right.
I thought I must strictly follow the rules
right.
of 30 years as laid down Official Secret Act.
Right.
These
right.
rules are applicable both in UK as well as in India. We are following those rules.
Right.
But
right.
they are not applicable in America or Canada, where you can say whistleblowers like John Bolton can write immediately after you were removed as National Security Advisor.
Right.
That was the time.
Right.
For 30 years, I did not want to write. The first book was written after 30 years. The second book also like this. So
okay.
I am safe from one side, so that government should not take any action At least I'm saying what
Okay, okay,
that's
okay. So
delay.
you played by the book and kind of honored the Official Secrecy
Was,
Act, which is what the corrupt politicians keep citing as national security when they don't want to disclose something. Because now we even have RTI, where if you actually file a RTI application, you can actually get to know what happened truly in the operation.
but it
So
is not applicable to RNW or intelligence organization that RTO.
right, right. It is not because a lot of sensitive matters and so sensitive secrets have to be withheld for the safety and security of the people working in RNAW and of course the overall security of the nation also. So finally, when you
Let me
decide,
the Khalistan thing.
right,
Actually speaking, as I mentioned, till 79, there was no Khalistan movement, although individuals like Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, Jagdish Singh Chauhan, and ideologues like this Kapoor Singh ICS, he was dismissed later on.
right,
They are the ideologues only, individuals with very little following.
right,
In a sense, it is the Congress Party, this is Gandhi, who created this movement, Khalistan,
right,
of movement Khalistan. So,
absolutely.
if you can play like with a fire, it doesn't get extinguished that easily.
True, true. And I'm sure that the Indian National Congress or the Congress Party had not only promoted this but also funded the entire mission and the movement because they wanted to use this for political play, like you said, to subdue the Akal Dal and subdue the Janata Party, which is now the BJP. Tell me, sir, when you finally got down to writing this book, which year was it?
My first book was published in 2018,
Yes, but
and
when did you
but
start writing?
unfortunately, I could have written earlier also. Unfortunately, 2011, a very serious type of cancer, leiomyosarcoma, surfaced in my wife's thing, kidneys and everything. She fought for another 6 years. She ultimately died in January 2017. There was no
Right,
pain till then. So I could not think of writing earlier. I could have written it earlier also.
right,
So within a few months or so, I started writing my first book on Sikkim. So when the Sikkim book went for printing or publishing, that period I started jotting down notes of this thing.
right.
So I knew all the incidents, I knew the timing, but it's very easy these days to fix on Google as to what the precise date is.
Right, right,
So
right. Very
leave it at
nice.
that. So
Yeah,
I started, and then I finished in almost 2 years or less than that, 2 years.
right,
Book
right,
recent for publication.
right. And what motivated you to write these books? I mean, besides, of course, making the incidents and the insights behind the incidents which happened in Sikkim or in the Khalistani conspiracy, public knowledge, so that people are aware about how petty games are played behind the public's back by petty politicians,
Motivation, I have already told you that because of national interest.
national interest.
Then I also thought that let me share the information of especially the second book to tell the people how political leaders can take such steps which are totally against the national interest for the
Right,
short-term political gains.
right,
And at the same time, you can say that core takeaway of the book that while sharing this type of information, I wanted to tell the voters or the public in general that while casting your vote, before you do that,
right,
please go into the history of that political party or a particular individual, whether
right.
they will be able to serve the cause of the nation which is so dear to you.
Right, very nice. And there's a very old saying that those who are not aware of history and do not
This
do are condemned to repeat it, right? And one of the thoughts which came to my mind, and this came to my mind because after I sent out a mail to people that we are doing this on the 3rd of January with Mr. G.B.S. Sidhu, one of my associates, she's a lawyer, and she wrote to me that the farmer movement is happening right down, which is being branded as a Khalistani movement, Jerry. So don't you think it's not the right time to actually kind of discuss this book, Khalistani Conspiracy?
I,
Now,
I did not know that this thing will take place.
right,
Unfortunately, this has happened.
right,
This book become more relevant to the current situation
right,
than I intended to be. First, here in that respect, I would like to say that the declaration of emergency
right,
June 26, 1975,
right,
was a turning point of India's political history.
right,
It changed the course of politics in India.
Right.
It started destroying the established institutions.
Right.
There was no going back. I
Right.
have written in this that on the fateful night of 25th of June, there was a political affairs committee meeting. My father-in-law, Babu Jagjeevan, and I.V. Chauhan and Mr. Gandhi. After due deliberation, it was decided that my father-in-law will take over as the interim prime minister next morning. And Mr. Gandhi agreed because they said that this is a wrong judgment higher justice taken, and it will be reversed definitely within next 3 months. That then you come back. But
Right.
they came to know, and he said he contacted Bansila. He said, "Your mother is a fool. Nobody gives charge or returns the charge. He will be joined by other opponents of Mr. Gandhi, and you will be kept out." Then they caught hold of Siddhar Shankar Ray, who had already advised Mrs. Gandhi long ago in January that please declare emergency. So then they drafted this thing and got this thing signed from Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, president. And that was the beginning where I've written here. That was the time when Mrs. Gandhi decided
Right.
on the notion of family before nation.
Yeah, and before we go more deeper into the book, sir, because that is my next question to you. Now, the reason I was clarifying is because when this person sent me this message, she thought that I wrote this book. I'm not very proud of it, but I wrote this book with Prime Minister Modi called Man Ki Baat, and I accepted the book on two conditions:
Mhm.
that I would be countering a lot of his thoughts because I'm not a big fan of Modi or BJP or any political party for that matter. That I would be countering a lot of his thoughts, and he can't edit anything which I write, which he did not. And the second was that I reserved the rights to do a sequel called Jan Ki Baat.
Mm.
So she was asking me, are you and Mr. Sidhu motivated because you are supporting BJP? I said, I don't think we are, and that's not the idea. The idea is to bring the truth of what is happening to the public so that public is more aware and uses that insight and integrity to cast their votes wisely, because right now there is no better party. It's just that we are stuck between the devil and the deep sea and the ravine. So it's only about choosing the lesser evil. So that's what was the insight of this lady when she sent me that book. Now, you've given us so much insight about what has happened behind the scenes, how Khalistan was formed in 1979, because till it was formed in 1979 as an official movement, it was more in the mindsets of a few people like Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, Uday Singh, and that is there in many Indian mindsets, because we are basically very xenophobic by nature. Like, you'll hear people. I'm from a state called Goa, and in Goa you'll hear people saying that these outsiders have come and spoiled Goa. What they mean by outsiders is non-Goans, but they are very much Indians. So this xenophobia is a very much an integral part of the Indian mindset, and that is what the politicians play on. Now, what is, if I had to ask you to kind of, in succinctly tell us about the central theme of the Khalistani conspiracy, because we've spoken about how different things happen behind the scenes, but what is the central theme if you had to really kind of give insight to the reader about what Khalistani conspiracy is all about? How would you tell that story
Actually,
in
what
the
I have written in the book is absolutely based on hard facts,
right,
which are substantiated by developments on the ground.
right,
I have no X to grind other than I don't want to favor anybody, neither Congress
right,
nor BJP.
right,
And
right,
if, unfortunately, at this stage, it doesn't suit certain Congress leaders. It's not my fault.
right,
Doesn't If BJP is taking advantage, it's not my fault.
right,
In fact, the G23 rebels of the Congress
right,
would be happy that I have written this place that family before nation.
right,
That thing still continues. Their
right,
main fight is against the succession based on family,
right,
not on the choice. So again, you are talking about the Khalistan people. The
right,
first few days of agitation, uh, I was slightly disturbed when the media went overboard and started calling these farmers as Khalistani or other thing. All these people were not totally informed as to these farmers belong to the villagers. And the role played by the villagers in India's independence struggle is much, much more, much beyond their population. The Bhagat Singh, Udham Singh, Kartar Singh Sraba, they were all villagers.
right,
The other party movement, which started in 1930, from San Francisco, 3,000 people, Jat Sikhs from Vancouver and San Francisco area migrated to India. They left everything and to join the independence movement. Out of
Right.
the hundreds were, and thousands of people were were sent to cellular jail in Andaman. And then again, this is what I told Raman when I said, RNW's white paper you have written is a white lie, full of white lies. Please revise it. Then same thousands of Indian army, these were from rural areas, deserted army and joined INA, Subhash Bose's army, INA. And when they were not given their post back, when I was a school going child, I used to see in Punjab, lot of Sikhs on their bicycle with INA flag, they were held in great esteem. So again, I told some of my friends that they are playing with fire. They should stop immediately calling them Khalistanis because they are in a group. And once they realize that the government is not giving any concession and they are being branded as Khalistani, they will say till now they have not done anything, but now let us move towards Khalistan. We are already being branded. So anybody, any Sikh with a turban cannot be Khalistani. That way, I am a big Khalistani, isn't it?
Right.
Why
Right.
should I write this thing?
Right. Right. And that's very important because, I mean, the current government, which is as roguish as the Congress government, because they all play the same dirty, crooked games.
I don't want to say because only a few days ago, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh had tried to make amends by saying
Right.
Khalistani is the other thing. You
Right.
have the liberty to say all these things. Then if
Right.
I start saying this thing, people will say Sidhu has already confirmed that his book is aimed at that. My book is to some sort of bring a decent closure to this thing. That is
Right.
in my last chapter. I have said the way forward as to what
Right.
should be done now. We have
Right.
gone into the mess. 33 commissions, SITs are not done. Let us move to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So
Right.
I'm totally up to date with it.
No, no, I'm not asking you to say anything. I'm saying that there's no Khalistani movement behind the farmers' protest. I'm putting this on record.
There is
And
no,
that, yeah.
how they are, you must have seen those people.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is propaganda spread by the wily BJP politicians.
They are proud of their forefathers' contribution towards the independence struggle.
Absolutely. So, may I request you to read a couple of chapters from your book, because that will kind of throw more light about how you brought the facts to life, the truths which are always hidden from the public domain. How you brought that to life for the awareness of the Indian citizens, not only in India but people of Indian origin who are living the world over.
I think I'll try to read from page 243, the
Okay.
last chapter, which is the way forward.
Right.
243, and the penultimate para. I've written here, Pakistan is using pro-Khalistan elements in the same manner as Indira Gandhi had used Bhilranwale to further her party's prospects.
Right.
However, the end result of such operations proves usually disastrous for the person or parties who allow themselves to be used for furthering their controllers' interests. In this case, Khalistan now at the moment is ISI, or they are controlling this thing. So then their handlers at the most, ISI, stand to lose a certain amount of money, time, and resources spent on such operations
Right.
in the hope that the risk reward ratio might one day turn in their favor and pay dividends on their original investment. Also, it is understandable, therefore, that a certain number of persons involved in pro Khalistan activities are directly or indirectly being financially compensated by the ISI, and they are also drawing pecuniary and other benefits resulting from their presence in certain Western countries. Logical arguments will have no effect on such people. My advice to Sikhs who join or support such protest, even if it is out of mere curiosity, is to see through their games of destabilizing Punjab, which has still not fully recovered from the consequences of a disaster decade and a half following the launch of Operation 2 by Mrs. Gandhi. So this again, I need to again. I think if you have time, I can read the next paragraph.
Yes, please go ahead, sir. Please
That
go ahead.
knowing Sikh history fairly well, I can say that no amount of ISI propaganda can shake the loyalty of the Sikhs of Punjab towards their country. Their contribution towards India's independence cannot be written off with one stroke of pen.
Right.
India had always belonged to the Sikhs and they will continue to belong to India. Then I was, however, dismayed to read a news item about the projection of a large photograph of Bhindranwale outside Gurdwara Sri Guru Singh Sabha in South Hall, London, next to the image of 5th Guru Arjan Dev to mark the occasion of Guru's martyrdom on 5th of June 2020. What a contrast! Guru Arjan Dev made major contributions towards raising the Sikh edifice over the foundation laid by Guru Nanak and
Right.
gave his life for protecting the Sikh faith, whereas Bhindranwale willingly and knowingly colluded with the Congress to further its interest, which created a chain of events that led to the destruction of Akal Takht and the loss of thousands of innocent lives. I hope after reading my book, the management of such gurdwaras as Southar, one would think twice before eulogizing Bhindranwale for whatever services to the Sikh faith they believe he might have rendered.
So the insight I get from this is that the pro-Khalistani movement is being supported by two enemies. One is the enemy outside, which is Pakistan and ISI, and one is the enemy within, which is the Congress.
Congress now, I think, needs to wash his hands off. They're incapable of doing anything.
Right.
This has exposed itself, and I don't want to say what is going to political or whatever it is.
Right.
Second is some of the Western countries also,
Right.
because of so-called their political compulsions of liberalizing, of freedom of right and speech, etc. They are helping it for this purpose, sometimes political compulsion, sometimes to further their economic, political, and geostrategic interests.
Right.
And I have compared the situation of Dalai Lama and also the Sikhs as Western countries, after Nixon's visit to China in 72, they have dumped the Tibetan movement. They kept it on the back burner. And when the Soviet Union dissolution, they brought him back and gave him Nobel Prize, and now it is the front burner. So things can happen. They will.
Right.
Now the problem here is the rise of China, which will compel the Western countries to use India. It is up to India if they want to help them. The Khalistanis also will move to back burner till such time they have achieved this purpose. This game will continue. I
Very true.
have hunted because of China, I knew about it, all these things. So I have used that thing, similarity, to describe their fate also. Don't think that you will be supported by Western countries. You are being used as a tool.
Right. So, I mean, just to kind of share some thoughts and insights, I remember in 2013, when the Congress's arrogance was at an all-time high. I mean, complete corruption and absolute corruption in the reign of the very silent Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. And at that height, I remember Rahul Gandhi had made a statement that we were the people who divided Pakistan, and he was talking about the breakaway of Bangladesh from Pakistan, which I had found to be a very immature statement coming from a politician to say that on an international stage, that we divided Pakistan. But behind the scenes, the work which is done by our armed forces and by organizations like RNAW, because your work on the intelligence, your work on the entire secrecy and the secretive plans about how to form Mukti Wahini, that work is completely ignored and people take credit for it only for political gain. And I think the public should be aware of this, that it's the armed forces, whether it's surgical strikes or wars which are fought, it's the armed forces and wing, the research and analysis wing, and organizations like those which really put in the hard work, and not the politicians who only take credit for it. Because
I have given my views in this book
right,
that since the emergency,
yeah,
this family
yeah,
has a tradition of taking credits for success.
right.
The failure is put in your lap.
Right, absolutely, and they're all the same. I mean, it's not just the Congress family, but it's all the same. They all love to take credit for it.
Then again, on the Bangladesh side,
Right,
the operation started much earlier, before RNW was formed.
right,
Maybe days it had started, and Agartala conspiracy, all these things. It is the continuation of process which
Absolutely.
NAW came being and they used it. So you
Absolutely.
cannot keep IB out of this operation, whereas Sikkim operation was totally RNW's.
Absolutely. And therein lies the plot because, I mean, the BJP has learned well from the Congress, like I said. And, whenever friends tell me that, BJP is doing every wrong, these are mostly Congress supporters. I said the BJP is doing what it is because of Congress today. Congress has left the Indian citizens and the Indian public in such a bad place that we don't even have a proper opposition today. Why? Because Congress had become so arrogant and corrupt that the BJP took advantage of that. And that said, I completely agree with you that it is the armed forces, whether it's the surgical strikes which happened. They've even made a movie on it called Yuri now. So BJP has completely understood how to play the game better by even using movies to do their own propaganda. And finally, sir, I want to ask you that f- in your journey as an author, what are the thoughts and insights you want to share with our audience? Because there are a lot of young authors out there who are wanting to write books and get their books published. What is the plan and process that you followed, right from writing the book when you started in 2017 to getting it published by HarperCollins in 2018? What is the process, and what is that journey?
Actually, I was some sort of, I can't say lucky or whatever it is, to be at the right place at the right time.
Okay.
And I had the plot readily available in my mind. Sikkim, I had using a diary.
Right.
So reproducing or producing a book was not very difficult for me.
Right.
Which may be very difficult if you are dealing with a totally new subject which you are not associated with, but
Right.
a lot of research will be required. So that fortunately played in my favor. And publishing of such a book is not very difficult, especially these days. RNW, intelligence, all these books are in great demand.
Right.
These subjects, I think there was no problem in getting Penguin to publish my first book.
Right.
This
Right.
has attracted a lot of highly appreciative reviews both abroad in US also and in India also. 10, 15 reviews. So after that, going to HarperCollins was not that difficult.
Very
So I
nice.
should not follow my example that it is so easy to do. It is a
Right.
difficult process. You have to choose a very important subject, then build some sort of a skeleton of that, how to move about it. How a story should move from one place to another, just like you can say, mm, I have written in a sort of analysis, short term, long term analysis, and then given a solution at the end, as I would have done in RNW projections. Use it first, introduce the subject, then give evidence, then suggestion.
Very
So
nice.
whenever you write a book, have a start thinking about the framework, what you are going to convey. Then everything starts following. Gradually, it starts improving also. So then, if it is a good and well written book, you will be easy. It's not that easy to get a publisher also, good publisher.
Absolutely, because the quality of the content and the quality of the story also matters. And just before concluding, do you see the Khalistani conspiracy becoming into a movie, sir?
I don't know. I have written. It is up to you people or anybody. If you think there is a movie, people will. Some people would not like it. Some
Has anyone approached you to make it into a movie?
maybe some people may be thinking about it, but I it will be a very interesting subject.
Right.
It will hit hardly or very hard at the some points.
Right. And more people will get to, because reading is not such a widespread habit, but more watching movies in India is a religion, like I said.
I have
And
got
then
offered to publish it in Punjabi also.
right.
If you have come, then I would like to get it published in Hindi also, so that the average Indian should know as to what it is. It is these people who are misled into believing certain things.
Absolutely.
Or at least they will come to know what has happened. That then the solution can be found if these people come to know about it.
Absolutely. And that's very important, that the public should know what happens behind the scenes and the games that politicians play, because the politicians are accountable to the citizens and not the other way around.
People
So
generally knew about it as to who are the people, what are they doing, but they could not provide the evidence, hard evidence. What
true,
I have done is hard evidence, which
true.
will be very difficult to refute, and the history of that period now would be written in a different manner.
True,
Nobody has the
absolutely.
guts to refute.
Because history gets twisted and tweaked by the victors, right? Or people who are in power, and that's exactly what is happening now. So
No,
like,
there's no victor, there's no loser. It is I who are told. Now it is up to you to think who should be held responsible, who should not be.
right. And any closing insights before we wrap up, sir?
I have held up certain information which I thought is too sensitive, and people who provided me the information they did not want to be quoted.
Right, right,
I want to respect their wishes.
right,
But they all corroborated what is written here.
right, right. So yes, you can't disclose the identity of
No,
people
no.
who do not wish to come forward.
Extremely
Yes,
sensitive positions, and so far didn't have the guts to come out in the open.
true, true, true.
I was,
Great.
most of them are my friends and quoted in the books, my best mates. Service people have a great, you can say, camaraderie. So they will talk to you anything, but please don't quote me.
No, no, I won't. I won't.
See,
In,
they will
in,
quote me. They tell me, please don't quote, but this is the information.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of politicians, including a person who claims to be Sanjay Gandhi's daughter, her name is Priya Singh Paul. After they read about the book, and she's proven that her DNA belongs to
Yes,
Sanjay
they can
Gandhi.
prove
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And they've been writing to me that not everything which was done during the emergency was wrong. I was like, seriously, just imposing the emergency is anti-constitutional because we are a democracy. And I think I do hope that someone makes this into a movie so that a wider audience gets to know what happens behind the scenes. And I'm sure that, because I have a lot of politicians in my mailing list and on my WhatsApp, from Congress, from BJP, from Aam Aadmi Party, so they've all got the information about this book, and hopefully somebody will make it into a movie soon. So thank you so much, sir. Pleasure having you with us. And with you, we have launched the Author Experience Conversations and the Rex Karmavir Global Author Fellowship. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us. Pleasure learning from all the insights that you shared with us, and all the best for your book going forward. If you want to show the books once again, and Sikkim, Dawn of Democracy, and the Khalistan Conspiracy. These are both available on Amazon, and they are available on at bookstores. Of course, in the pandemic, it's best to buy it from Amazon. So please go on to Amazon and buy the books by Mr. G.B.S. Sidhu. Thank you, sir. Have a great evening.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Take care. See you. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.